welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Rocking Midlife, the podcast. And I've just been having a wonderful chat already with this incredible lady. I've got to pronounce it right. Heike, is that right? Heike. Yep. Heike Yates. Sorry, I didn't want to get that wrong, and I did practice, but I'm still not that great. But I'll have it right by the end of the session. Anyway, so I've known Heike for a while in the online space. We're in some of the same groups for midlife women, but she's someone who I've always seen out there absolutely walking her talk as far as fitness and well-being goes. So I'm really thrilled to have her here. So in a nutshell, I'm just going to read very quickly what she does. Heike is a fitness and nutrition expert. She helps active women over 50 take back their health and strength by designing simple and balanced fitness, nutrition, and mindset programs. So welcome, Heike. It is fabulous to have you here today.
Kat, thanks so much for being here with me today. And I'm with you because I love New Zealand. And it's so fun to hear your accent. I can't get enough of it.
I love your accent too, with the German just coming through there. I'm actually a hybrid accent, so a lot of people find my accent's a little confusing because the Australian will come out sometimes, but I've lived here for 21 years, so I've got the mixture happening, as you do too, don't you? Tell us a little bit about your history, your story.
Well, I came to the States where I'm living now, so I'm on the East Coast of the United States, near Washington, D.C., and I came here 33 years ago.
Woohoo.
It's been a long time, so This is really my home.
So where did you come from?
I lived here longer than in my home country, Germany. Near Munich is where I grew up, in a little itty-bitty town. I mean, they were just, the town, nobody would know because at this point they had probably 200 people in this little town.
Wow.
So it's totally country living, and my parents were blue-collar workers, both. My dad ended up being a truck driver. My mom owned actually a grocery store at one point.
Wow.
And she was the only grocery store in miles and miles and kilometers, as you guys do too, kilometers around her. But I love being outdoors. I love being active. And I have been active for part of my life, but only because it's been integrated in our culture. So European cultures, you do move a lot, meaning you bike to the grocery store, you walk to the butcher, you do walk on the weekends. So it's integrated in our culture. Although I love this part of it, I used to be an obese kid.
Wow, really?
Until the age of 12, I was not just overweight, I was obese.
Gosh, that must have, let's just stop there, because I know that there'll be people listening who have either been in that situation or have children or grandchildren in that situation. How did that affect your psyche and emotions? Were you aware that you were overweight at that age?
You know what? I didn't know until my grandma said, if you keep eating like this, you will not get a husband.
Oh, ouch.
I didn't know what that meant. You know, like I said, I was always active, but at this point when you're told that you never get a husband, I guess this was the big goal, that you have to get married at some point. I looked at myself and I was like, well, okay, I am just me. And I stick to this. And anybody who's dealing with the problem of being overweight and deal with this a long time, love yourself. Yes. Because I said to my grandma, if he doesn't want me like this, then I don't want him.
Oh, fabulous answer. You said that at 12.
I said that at 12.
That is wisdom right there. Brilliant.
I was determined that this is me and I am who I am, no matter what it looks like on the outside. And if somebody doesn't appreciate my inside, then they're just interested on the surface. They're not really part of me or want to be part of me.
Yeah.
And so back in the days, it was about finishing your plate.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My parents grew up not a lot of money, and then you have food on your plate and you sit because it cost a lot of money. And so I ate portions that were adult portions.
Yes.
Not children portions. And I got fatter and bigger and bigger. And I remember I was horrified. At one point, my mom took me to buy new clothes. And we went to the kids section for 12-year-olds. Nothing fit.
Oh.
We went to the adult woman section. And I don't know for American sizes, I don't know what that is, but I think it's a 16 or 18, but it was a 48 skirt.
Yeah.
Size 48 for a 12-year-old that was not super tall at this point.
Yeah.
But it was a lot. And I was just really upset.
Yeah.
But what happened was it's completely unexplained because I got really sick in that time. And for a week, I lay in bed and I had fever and everybody said, oh, she has a flu and she's going to be fine. And I lost 20 kilos.
Oh, my goodness.
In 1 week.
Oh, my goodness.
And nobody knew what happened, why this happened. And I lost all this weight. And guess what? Suddenly I had the attention of all the boys. Suddenly everybody invited me to parties. Suddenly I was like, oh, Heike, yeah, she's cool. Bring her in. She's part of us now. And I remember this whole scenario like it was yesterday. And I know people that live this lifestyle or can relate to this story will know what I felt like. And I was like, I don't need you. You didn't need me before. You didn't want me before.
Yeah.
I don't need to be there with you now. And I became a bookworm.
Yeah.
I just stayed home, read a lot, stuck to myself, did my own thing until I left home and moved to Munich to live the big life.
Munich's beautiful, though. Did you drink lots of beer in Munich? Isn't that what it's known for?
It is known to be a beer town, but
yes.
You know, a lot of beer makes your belly really big, and that's not desirable.
Yeah, yeah. I've never been a beer drinker, and I have sat in one of the, is it what are they called again?
Hofbräuhaus.
Thank you. One of those places with the big thing in front of me, but I couldn't even taste it. I'm just not a beer person.
2-liter beer.
Yes, they're huge. I couldn't believe what people were drinking. Just amazing. The beautiful,
that's not
beautiful
good for your
town.
figure.
No, I can imagine. Beautiful town, though. So let's fast forward, and here you are, you know, at midlife. So have you always been involved with health and fitness? When did you kind of crank into it as a career choice?
So I came to the States with no intentions of doing anything in fitness, with anything even remotely related to what I call hopping around in front of people. But I came to the States, met my then husband, and got pregnant, as the story goes. So I have my son, and when I had him, I gained a lot of weight. I was humongous.
Yeah, I did the same. Know how
that feels. God. And I don't know, I was like, I'm eating normal. I'm, you know, moving a little bit. Back then it was like, oh, my OBGYN said, sit on the couch, relax, take care of you. This is the time of your life where you get spoiled. Well, that didn't look so good on me. But what happened was I had this amazing son, that's still my son, and I had all this weight. And my girlfriend said, Heike, come on, there's a class at the local YMCA where they teach classes. And I was like, okay, I can bring the baby and I can exercise. And it was more like it was called dancercise back then.
Oh, yes, I remember all those sort of things. Yeah, jazzercise and dancercise and yeah.
And you would dance more, and then you do a little bit of weights, and you do a little bit for your abs. And I was like, this is great. This is fun. So I really enjoyed it. And they were looking for teachers. And so my husband back then said, this will be great. This is like a job. You can train to become a teacher. They pay you for it. You bring the baby, so we don't need childcare. And that's what I ended up doing.
Wow.
And,
that's cool. So you started out as a group exercise instructor, basically.
Yep. Basically teaching group classes at churches, at basements, from different facilities. And they also had a main facility where they have their equipment and their classes, but there was at that point only for the well-seasoned teachers and the well-known teacher. And I was new, but I didn't care. I got to exercise. I had my music. The then kids could come. I have a daughter who was born 3.5 years later. And the cool thing about this was I could bring them with me.
Yeah.
And as they got older, they met other kids. They were integrated in exercise programs, kids programs, summer camps. And so from little on, they learned that fitness is an important part of your life.
Yeah, so that's kind of a really good point right there, isn't it? That watching mum and being part of mum's world when mum was active has helped your children be active, and right from the word go. And that's something like parents need to remember too. Like, it's one thing to tell our kids to get out and kick a ball, but if you're the one stuck at the computer the whole time, it's not as powerful, is it, as actually modeling it. So
it's leading by example, which then, as they got older now, my son is 33, my daughter is going to turn 30. It's like we have run many races together. We have done marathons together.
Oh, wow.
My son has become an Ironman, just like my husband and I. We both are Ironman triathletes.
Wow, that's massive.
So we're training together, and they've done Pilates, but it's the fun part that you're like, okay, let's go for a run together.
Yeah,
have family time. We're going swimming today. Are we going biking? It's just really fun to spend that time with them.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Being active.
Really cool. Okay, so let's fast forward even further. So let's go into midlife. So now you're really honed in with what you do with your work, haven't you? You're looking at women around the age of 50, how you can support them with their health and well-being. And I know that you're going to be encountering lots of ladies who haven't had like 30 years of prior exercise experience like you've had. What would be your 3 tips? Let's go deep here. What would be your 3 tips for a woman at midlife who's struggling with weight gain, struggling with feeling sluggish, has only exercised kind of sporadically, particularly with this lockdown? What would you suggest they start with?
Let's see. I would say, there's so many different angles you could go with this.
Yeah. All will be great. What's the first one that comes to mind?
It's like the woman that listens to it will go, oh yeah, this is exactly what I need.
Yeah.
It's mindset strategies. I think this is the key, is your why. You're looking at yourself. Is the first thing is look at yourself and your situation.
Yeah.
The wanting to change something is great, but it's not going to happen unless we take action.
Yeah.
So determine your why. Determine what it is that you want the end result to be. What do you think of what should happen in your mind? That suddenly you jump out of your house and you can run a marathon, or you lost the 20 pounds, or the quarantine weight that you gained. But really hone in on why you want this to change.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes I find there's an underlying reason. It's not suddenly that we're quarantined, or it's not suddenly that you sit at home more often, or maybe that the kids grow up could be a good reason as well. But it is why do I want to change? What is the long-term goal that I would envision myself to be? What's your dream? So hone in on what it is you want, you envision yourself to be, and not even the steps at this point. You're just going all out. You're dreaming your biggest dream. Yeah. So nothing is wrong. Nothing is not achievable. Whatever you think it is, but it has to be written down, in my opinion. Yeah. How to write it down in a journal, on a piece of paper, or you start your own Google Docs and just hammer out all these things. So the first step is getting clarity of why you want something. Mm-hmm. Once you have that clarity and go like, all right, my goal is to run a 5K. Let's use this. I've never run a 5K, and this is really what I want to do. I've never run before, but this is really what I want to do. I don't know why I want it, but I know I want it. It could be a 3K, but I want this 5K. All good. Then the next step is to see what would be some of the roadblocks. Why haven't I followed up on those dreams that I have? And let's stick with a 5K example. So I have the 5K, but I've never thought about that I could actually do it. Now we go back to work. We're writing down, why didn't I think I could do this? What are the things that are holding me back to achieve that goal? Is it, I need a new pair of shoes? I don't have a place to run. I don't know how to run. Well, that sounds pretty simple, but it's really not that simple. I mean, you say put one foot in front of the other, but there is more to it, because many people start out running and then are so exhausted after a block and they say, this is not for me. This is dumb. This is hard. I'm sweating. My legs hurt. This is not for me. So think about what it is that holds you back to achieve that goal. Write this down, because it's going to be a whole slew of lists. And if you're sitting down, writing things down, and you take it over a couple of days, don't just think, okay, today is the day I'm going to write it down.
Yeah.
Right? Keep writing. Take a week, take a month, doesn't matter. Your goal can wait. And then go back and sort through and see what are some of the imagined obstacles, the imagined roadblocks. If it's the shoe, let's take the shoe. I don't have a pair of shoes. Well, you go to a running store and they tell you what you need. So that's already checklist on one roadblock. It is too hard. I can't do this. Well, you can walk one block. Maybe you can walk 2 blocks, 3 blocks. But overcoming those little roadblocks that you're imagining, or maybe not, they're very real in our heads. They're very real. But tackle the one that seems to be the most doable.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is one, I can buy new shoes and I can walk more comfortably.
That's great. I love, in fact, you're touching on things that I talk about in my 21 Hacks book, which is all about, setting goals and going for them. I love the fact that you're starting with the end in mind. So you've decided, you got that goal. And I think doing that exercise that you're saying of actually writing down all the roadblocks why you haven't achieved it up to now, that's brilliant, because we often don't bother to take the time to do that, do we? And then we get surprised when we don't achieve the goal because of those roadblocks. And I love it. You're kind of diffusing all the landmines before you get going, removing a lot of the mental obstacles and also eliminating a lot of the excuses, aren't you? Like, you're taking away all those excuses of why you can't get up and go for that goal. Yep. So that's brilliant. What's another tip? Sorry, go on.
It's one step at a time. It's like a little fountain. You keep climbing. You keep digging away on it. And then once you've moved those roadblocks, it's time to take action.
Yes, action. Yep, love it.
Without action, it's not going to happen. You know what? I just read something on motivation, and you probably too are told many times, I'm not motivated. I just can't get myself to do X, Y, and Z. How do I get motivated? And I'm sure we both have written blog posts and podcasts about motivation, all about it. But when you're thinking about the process, the why, the obstacles, and the taking action is actually a positive to where you say, okay, if I take action, I don't really need to be inspired because I just can go and do it.
Exactly. It's so funny you're saying you've probably written blogs. I talked about this very thing in a recording for a teachers summit just yesterday. And I was talking about some writers. Now, I can't remember who it is. I don't know if it's Stephen King or who it is, but there's some famous writers who say, you don't wait for inspiration, you don't wait for motivation, or you'll never write that book. You sit your butt in the seat and do the work, no matter how hard. And it's the same with exercise and setting up those sort of routines, isn't it? You pop it in the diary, you keep the appointment. It might hurt, it might be a bit of a sucky one, it might not be your best session, but you still do it. Because you'll never be motivated. Who gets motivated to want to go out in the cold and, go through all that palaver of finding a car park and getting into a smelly gym and getting out of your clothes? You'll never be motivated. You just got to kind of decide you're going to do it.
Yep, and that's the action part is And all it does is for you to take the first step.
Yeah.
You know, you want that 5K. You bought those new shoes. Now it's time to open the door and go.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to judge you for not being able to run a 5K because they don't know what you're doing.
Exactly.
And you're out there and people probably will admire you saying, wow, look at her. She's really at it. She's walking or shuffling or somewhat running. It doesn't really matter. But she's doing it. And when I look out of my window and I see now that a lot of people are from home or working from home, I see how many people actually start running up and down my street now that I've never seen before.
Yeah. It's been happening like that over here too. Yeah.
So they took action. So they're sitting at home. They have more work than they probably want to have. They're teaching their kids at home.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, okay, let's go outside. And I don't know in New Zealand, but we have all the playgrounds are locked or closed off. And
wow.
The kids can't play anywhere other than in the creek or in the grass or with some sticks or play equipment that the parents buy.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited to see all these people. And I watch a particular family who took action and said, I've never, ever seen these people out exercising. And they're out there and they have their little white exercise shoes, all of them. They must have just bought them, but they did buy those shoes.
That's so
when
cool.
every day in the morning, like clockwork, at 8 o'clock, they all come down the road and I don't know where they're going. And then they come back up. And they do the same thing in the afternoon.
Fantastic.
Every single day. And that's what produces results.
That's brilliant. So, wow. So you've kind of given us 3 things in one there, but that is brilliant. So basically start with the end in mind and then go from there. What's another thing that you think women should be thinking about if they want to make some changes at midlife to their health and fitness?
I think happiness, work on your happiness.
One
of the things that I find or I hear often is as we're going through menopause, we have all these menopausal side effects to deal with, which comes with weight gain, which comes with tiredness, which comes with hair loss, and all kinds of wonderful other side effects. But less energy and weight gain is a side effect. And oftentimes, because of it, we also have the changes that affect us in a negative way. We're starting to reflect on where I've been, why haven't I done this? The kids are out of the house. My husband's going to divorce me, or whatever is going on in your life. So happiness is definitely the mindset of what do you want in your life? What do you want from life? In the same aspect as the other 3 steps that I mentioned is, figure out, I want to be happy. What does happiness mean to you?
Yes. That's a great point because it's always going to be different for every different person, isn't it?
It's different for everybody.
Yep.
What taking action to be happy looks different. It could be that you are bored taking the same route to the grocery store every day. And so an adventure for you could be, and something that makes you happy is going a totally different route, where you see things that light you up, meet new people, see new gardens, whatever it floats your boat, but where you can find your happiness is, to me, and when my kids say, Mom, what do you want for us? I said, all I want you to be is happy. I don't care about your career. I don't care about all these other things, but happiness is, to me, the foundation of our life.
Yeah. I love that. I talk a lot in my Rocking Midlife group about choosing joy, and which is the same thing, because it is a choice, and it's something that can be just that little choice that brings you happiness or joy in your daily life, even if everything else is crappy. So, a lot of us are sitting with, partners out of work, or we're out of work, or life is very, very different for many of us at the moment. There's a lot of horrible stuff happening, but where can you choose those little sparks of joy or happiness in your daily life that will lift you? And I think if you purposely look for those things, like you said, purposely find the thing that does that for you, and then make sure you make that part of your daily routine, it's certainly going to overflow in the rest of your life, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's like, it really tumbles into when you finally feel what makes you happy. You're like, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. I mean, it can be simple, like you said, of just a different route, or watching your flowers, or playing with your pets, or it can be anything. It can be anything.
Or cook a new recipe.
Yeah. For those who
you see this cool recipe.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this recipe.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, there was a lot of that in lockdown too. People suddenly got creative and brave in the kitchen, didn't they? My own husband was baking bread. My goodness.
Your husband?
Yes, he started baking bread, and after the first two, which was so bad that our chickens wouldn't even eat them, he then nailed it, and he did brilliantly. The problem that kind of added to our COVID kilos that we're both carrying, because nice fresh warm bread, but hey, it gave me happiness at the time.
You know what, Kat? We can't say this. We have much more in common than we think. My husband turned into the baker too.
Oh, serious? Oh, that's so funny.
Up a similar story. First two were not so good. Now it's like bread.
Yes. Oh, I think I can see. I think we need to put together like a baking show with all the husbands one day. We discovered baking during lockdown, and just have a little men's channel of favorite recipes or something. I think that could be kind of cool. Pocket that one. Fun. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Okay, so point number 3 for the woman who wants to change her life at midlife. Now, I'm actually going to give you this topic because it's one we mentioned before. It's a topic. It's a key that I actually started using with my clients in the gym many years ago, and it's a key that I'm seeing that you are particularly well versed in as you're offering this as part of your services. Tell us about intermittent fasting in a nutshell.
In a nutshell is basically where you don't eat during a certain time of your day. That's really the most simplistic way to look at it. And there's many forms.
Sorry.
There's many forms of intermittent fasting, but for somebody who's like, what is intermittent fasting? Well, you fast intermittently. That means you just don't eat for a couple of hours during the day.
So tell us a little bit more. What are some of the benefits of intermittent fasting for a woman at midlife?
So when we're thinking back of how many of us have been raised, and at this stage, we're all 3 meals and snacks. And in the US, we are a big snacking society. I don't know about in New Zealand.
Yeah, obesity is an issue here as well. And yep, we've always been told the same thing. I mean, I used to say it in my early days at the gym, eat all these small meals. It'll stabilize your blood sugar, have protein, da-da-da-da-da. And
and we learn, and intermittent fasting back then was not even a topic. I mean, there were all kinds of different diets that were recommended with air quotes, but we're looking at this now that we're saying, okay, we've eaten for a certain style, and women tend to eat more carbohydrates than men. And that's been a fact all these years. And I'm not denying this. We're talking about bread. I love my carbs just like the next. But what happens, our metabolism has slowed down. So we're not metabolizing all the food we're eating like we have. Our gut has slowed down or digests things differently, and the whole metabolism has affected the digestion of our food. So when you're thinking you're constantly feeding yourself, just say food. We're not going to say what specific food, but what you food. You're constantly giving your body the signal. It's like, oh, my insulin levels are high. Oh, great, but now I'm dropping. Now I need another snack. Oh, it's snack time. And so your body never, or your gut, I should say more specifically, never has time to rest and digest and ferment and whatever else is going on to be ready for the next meal. And that's when you go back into menopause and you know that many women deal with bloating, difficulty with digestion, going to the bathroom. And these are all parts of that menopausal over 50 problems that we're dealing with. And intermittent fasting gives your gut, simply said, just a rest. It's a break. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to digest. I don't have to produce enzymes. I don't have to break anything down in your gut. The liver can just have a happy day.
Happy liver, happy life.
It's a happy life. And this is what I'm thinking. And, I was diagnosed with microscopic colitis last year.
Wow.
And intermittent fasting has been really a game changer for my gut.
Mm.
And this was not the reason I started it almost 2 years ago, but I said, okay, this really helps my gut to calm down. I pick the foods that are good for my gut, and I can choose what gives me energy and where I thrive and lose body fat instead of gaining it and become more pudgy or doughy, whatever you want to call the word.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. So how long do you personally, and putting a caveat out there for everybody, disclaimer, we are not telling you to go do anything here. We're just talking about Heike's experience and what she's found. So how long do you fast for?
14 to 15 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that I don't eat breakfast, like we said earlier. Yeah, the good old breakfast is gone.
Yep.
Current research suggests that women in particular do very well on a 14 to 15 hour fast, not anything longer, like the 16 to 18 hour fast is something that's recommended for men. Remember, we are women, our bodies function differently. So a shorter fasting window has shown to prove better results than the longer fasting for health, for gut health, and for the benefits of losing body fat.
Wow, that's brilliant. And what type of diet do you suggest women eat in their eating phase? Like, are you big on strict nutrition plans, or do you suggest that they just choose whole foods and be sensible? What do you what advice have you got?
Well,
I know that's a whole other rabbit hole, but we'll just touch the top of it.
Well, it depends. Now, when you hear intermittent fasting, you many times hear it goes together with a keto diet. That goes one in one. Now, ketosis is a whole different beast with intermittent fasting. Now, I find that I don't want to eat a diet that's primarily high in fat and protein. Mm-hmm. It's just not appealing to me. Or very limited diets, or very, very few carbohydrates to get into this ketosis state. What I say is eat what you like. But
there's always a but.
There's a but. Because I feel that after all these years of checking out diets and been on several of diets to test those guys out, there's always a backfiring of those diets. So eat what you like, but it depends on your goals. If your goal is really to let your gut rest, to let your gut recover from the eating, let your insulin levels be more level, and there will be no sugar spikes, ladies. There's none of this like, woo, I have sugar crush. I'm so high on sugar and now I need something else. I need to cut sugar totally out of my diet. Not in my opinion. So eat whole grains, eat lean meats, eat fish, eat lots of vegetables, good stuff. Stay away from, although we just talked about bread, stay away from too much processed breads. Yes. Doesn't mean that you can't eat them. But I wouldn't eat a whole loaf in one sitting with lots of butter on it. Probably not a good meal, probably tasty, but not beneficial for what your lean out or your intermittent fasting goals are. And the goals range from I just don't feel like eating to I want to lose body fat. I have all these bloating. I don't know what's going on. But the cell repair has proven in all the intermittent fasting studies through that rest that it's really turning over the cells and creating new, healthier cells in your gut. So feed it what's good for it. And I'm a huge fan of vegetables in any form or fashion. I love chicken, grilled. I do have wine. So this is part of my food group. Do a couple of glasses of wine during the week. And I'm a happy camper.
Love it. Love it. Love that it's real. It's doable. It's like you said, it's not something that's restrictive with odd foods. it just becomes part of that daily routine, doesn't it? Just not eating for those hours and then eating like mindfully during the other hours. Yep. So I'm just so grateful for you to coming on today and finally connecting with you. It's just been so cool to chat. Where can people find you, Heike? I mean, I'm going to have all your information in the show notes anyhow, but if people listening in, where can they find you?
You can find me anywhere on social media under my name, which is Heike, Heike, Yates, Yates. And if you Google Heike Yates, you come across me on Instagram, on Facebook at Heike Yates Pursue Your Spark, and LinkedIn, on Pinterest. So you can find me anywhere, or you can find my website, heikeyates.com, where you can find out about my freebies and about me.
Yes, I saw you had some great free downloads there. One is about intermittent fasting. So if this is a topic that really interests you, that would be a great place to start. So thank you again so much. It's been brilliant talking to you, and look forward to chatting to you again down the track sometime.
Sounds great, Kat. Have an awesome day.
You too.